So as you can see, I've drawn out my box. The reason why I'm having these two rectangular shape like box is because I want to drag both the front and the back same time. So that's it. What I did was to take that's the largest part of my body, which is my hip. It would be your bust or your hip, whichever, then divide it by 4. Make sure that you add extra inch just to be on the safer side. So that's that. My hip is 40 divided by 10. Sorry, 40 divided by 4, it's 10. So you see, I have 10. So that's that. So let's get started. So the first thing is to note down my shoulder. The shoulder I'm doing is 15. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, which is 7.5. I'm going to note it down on the front and on the back. And then the neckline, I'm going to use the standard neckline. Since we're just drafting on our paper, you can, feel free to alter it to alter the neck on your fabric, to change it to whatever style you want, whether bold, sweetheart, or whatever. So, but for this tutorial, I'll be using the standard neckline, which is 3 by 3. That's the wideness 3 and the depth is 3. Then for the back, the wideness will be 3 and the depth will be 1. 3 by 1, and I'm also going to connect it. Then for my shoulder slope, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And then I'll use my ruler to connect from that dot to here, to at the end of the neckline here. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's that. The next is to take my horizontal measurement. By my horizontal measurement, I mean my bust line, waistline, hip line, and the rest. So from my shoulder to my bust, it's 10.5. 10.5. So I'm going to note it down. Then from my shoulder to my waist, it's 17 inches. And I also note it on the back. Why I didn't note that this bust line here is that our back, we don't need the bust line. So that's the reason. We don't have our bust at the back of our body. It's at the front. And we don't need it for anything at the back. So that's why I didn't extend it towards the back. Then the next is then the hip line, from my shoulder to my hip, it's 27, which is this. And then the next thing now is to the chest line. To know where my chest line is, what I'm going to do is my bust is 36. 36 divided by 4, it's 6 plus 1.5, which is 7.5. I have my 7.5 here. 7.5 here. Also same thing with this 7.5 here. I'm trying to make sure that my lines are straight. Please make sure that your lines are straight. So that's it. So I'm going to come down here. Remember how I got it? 36 divided by 6, which is 6 plus 1.5, which is 7.5. So here is it 7.5. So I'm going to come down. Then for my armhole, I'm going to know the midpoint. The midpoint is what I have here. It's 7.5. The midpoint is 3.75, which is here. I'm also going to note the midpoint here too. 7.5 divided by 2, 3.75, which is here. So and for the front, I'm going to come in by 0.75 to get my front armhole. Let me use this to get the curve. So to know where the curve is going to stop, I'm going to take my bust measurement here. That's my bust is 36. 36 divided by 4, it's 9. I have 9 here. But I'm going to add 0.25 is allowance. You can decide to add 0.5. But I feel for me it's going to be much. So 0.25, it's okay. So 36 divided by 4, it's 9 plus 0.25 is allowance, which is this. I marked it. So that's where I'll be curving my armhole. So then for the back, I also note the 9.25 here. 9.25. Remember how I got the 9.25? 36 divided by 4 plus 0.25 is allowance. I'll just go ahead and connect. So the next thing is to take the dart. For my dart, I'm going to use my bust span, which is also, some people call it nipple to nipple. So I'm going to use my bust span. My bust span is 7.5. 7.5 divided by 2 is 3.75. 3.75. I have my 3.75 here. But my dart is not going to start on my bust line because I don't want to have a sharp edge. So I'm going to come down by 1. I don't want to have a sharp edge after I finish sewing. So I'm going to come down by 1. And then on my hip line too, I'm going to mark 3.75. And then I'm going to come down by 2. I'm going to come up by 2 inch. So for my front dart, it's going to start 1 inch below my bust line and end 2 inch above my hip line. And then the next thing I'll do is to take ½ inch on both sides. ½ inch on both sides. Then I'll connect like this. So that's that. Then for the back dart, my back dart is going to start 1 inch below my chest line and 2 inch above my hip line. So I'm also going to note my bust span here. My bust span is 7.5 divided by 2, which is 3.75 here. Then I'll come down by 1 here. Then 3.75. Then I'll come up by 2. Then I'll take 1 inch. That's 0.5 on both sides. 0.5, 0.5. So the next thing now is to go ahead and take our measurements. For my waist, my waist is 30 divided by 4, it's 7.5. So I have my 7.5. But remember that we are taking in this dart, so we have to replace it. We have to replace it. If not, our clothes will not fit. There is going to be a shortage. So the the waist 30 divided by 4, 7.5 plus this 1 inch that we are going to take in for that, which is now 7.5 plus 1 inch, which is 8.5. Then on the hip is 40 divided by 4, it's 10. So I'll just go ahead and note my 10. Take note that I didn't add this 1 inch to this one. I left it at 10. This is because that did not extend towards the hip line. It didn't extend towards the hip line. So that's that. So I'll go ahead and connect the dots I have. That's the measurement I have marked out. Please, when drafting or marking on your fabric, any straight line, please try to smoothen it out. You know our body is not actually straight, so don't forget, try and smoothen it out. Then I also do that for the back. The measurement for the waist is 7.5 divided by the waist is 30 divided by 4, it's 7.5, which is here. 7.5 plus 1 inch, that's that we're going to take in, which is 8.5, which is here. Then for the hip is 40 divided by 4, it's 10, which is 10. Of course, you know why I'm not adding this the 1 inch here. Like I said earlier, our dart did not extend towards the hip. So that's that. So that's that. We are good to go. But please take note that when placing it on your fabric to cut, make sure you add your seam allowance. And then here should be on fold. This side should be on fold. And then for your zipper is going to be this side. So please take note. Please, if you have any question, let me know in the comment section. I'll be there to answer your question. So as you can see, we are done with the cutting. This is the front panel and this is the back panel. Don't forget that when placing on your fabric to cut, you have to add your seam allowance. So that's that. Like, come your way next time. I hope you enjoyed this video. So do not forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and share with your friends. Bye bye.